Hi and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be using this space to share about all things and my approach to life and ministry and mission. For those of you that aren't aware, I'm currently the Vice President of Baptists Together, and I'm just about to start a new role with the Northern Baptist Association. For my first kind of episode, I'm going to be sharing something that I did a few months ago for Spurgeons College. So here is past me talking to future students about my approach to ministry. Enjoy. Well, I want to share with you kind of just a handful of principles that I take into every ministerial role I have, whether that's in a really local context, whether that's in association life, whether that's regional, or whether it's part of my national stuff that I do. These things, I think, have shaped how I do ministry, and hopefully there'll be something in there that we can reflect on and wrestle on together. So the first kind of philosophy I have in ministry is the kind of relentless pursuit of God. Now that may seem very obvious, and forgive me for the obvious nature of it, but it's really key. Ministry, life is tough. Life is tough. Ministry can be incredibly tough. It can be really joyous, but it can be tough. And first and foremost in ministry, I believe you are a child of God. And therefore, your number one calling is to a relentless pursuit of God. And when you relentlessly pursue God in prayer and worship, you get God's perspective. And it's out of that place that you then minister and do other things. And so you need to create and carve out space where it is just you and God, where you're not studying scripture just because you've got to preach on that verse, but because you are in a relationship with God and want to know more of him and be known by him, to be held and to lean in to who God is. On to the next two, which is thoughtfulness and fairness. This is the process of gaining knowledge. So when you give an opinion, or when you make a decision, it's far more credible because you've taken the time and energy to be thoughtful and fair. Take time to make an informed decision. Often in ministry, we'll be pressured to react constantly to everything that's happening, kind of firefighting around us. Take the time to be informed in your opinions. And do that out of thoughtfulness and fairness. You need to value ability over every other factor. Seek people out. I say this as someone who entered ministry in their early 20s. I heard the words, you need more experience, a lot. I hear the words now when discussing other ministers and ministries. I need more experience. Let me just say to you now, as ministers, as pioneers, be the person that gives them that experience. Rather than looking at factors that disqualify people, look at the ability they have and value that. Put people into roles that require more of them, so that they realise that there's more in them than they knew they had. Now, don't just chuck them in a role and leave them. Obviously, support and nurture, encourage. But definitely value ability over other factors. And in doing that, when you are looking at mentoring, nurturing, enabling, equipping, make sure that thoughtfulness and fairness are right at the centre of who you discern. Because unequal treatment of people can lead to fear and anxiety, which discourages communication and innovation. Create time to be thoughtful. Look at the implications of what decisions you make, and make sure you always use your privilege to empower others. Another thing for me is curiosity. A deep, abiding curiosity enables the discovery of new people, places, and ideas. You need an awareness and an understanding of the church and its changing dynamics. But it's out of the process and the structures that you create. Be curious about innovation in ministry and mission. Ask questions that you need to ask. I have learned over time to ask those questions without any apology for what I don't understand. You then need to do the work. I then need to do the work to learn quickly what we can. But ask the questions. Why are we doing this? You'll ask that a lot in church in your head, but there's nothing wrong with verbalizing that. Be curious, ask the piercing questions, and make no apology for being curious. The other kind of philosophy that shapes my ministry is decisiveness. I think that is key. In order to release and empower people, decisions have to be made. And I've learned it's often best to make these decisions, even when they're difficult. All decisions, no matter how challenging, can and should be made in a timely way. And that again comes back to getting God's perspective. What you need to do in ministry, one thing that I would always encourage, is that you could get a diversity of opinion. Balance every opinion, but then do what needs to be done to implement the decision. Make sure you're fair, make sure you're thoughtfulness, but make a decision. Indecision can not only be ineffective, but it's massively counterproductive and often deeply corrosive. You may have heard the analogy in church life that if you want to move the piano from one side of the stage to another, to move it gradually in very small steps every week until it's at the other end of the stage. I really struggle with that analogy because it feels a little manipulative. It feels like you're not acting with integrity. Make the decision, discuss with those who it will affect, and maybe that will change your decision, but make a decision and do it. Do it with integrity, do it with authenticity, do it with thoughtfulness and fairness, but do it. Don't try and manipulate things from behind the scenes. I don't see Jesus ever doing that, and I don't think we should in ministry. Try and get everyone on board with your decisions, but know that some people never will. There will always be those people. There will always be those people. The other kind of philosophy of ministry for me is focus. It's really important in ministry that we focus on the main thing. Allocating time and energy and resources to people is a high priority. It's really important. But what's more important is knowing what time, what resources, what energy are needed to go towards what at any given time. There will always be more projects than you have time for. There will always be more people to see. There will always be more people pressing for your time, trying to get their agenda up on your priority list. And you need to focus. When ministers aren't focused, we fail to create and deliver and allow the experience of the gospel to be relevant. Focus on the main thing. Again, that links back into pursuing God and getting his perspective. Allow God to dictate your agenda and focus in on that. I know that sounds very idealistic, Because let's be honest, we can focus on that. Does God really want us to focus on an agenda or a sisterhood meeting? Don't get me started on those. But, so come at this with a realism, but know that at the end of every day when you finish, you've spent more of the time on the things that you need to, rather than the things that people want you to. Focus on being Jesus's hands and feet in your community. And then courage. Courage is a big one for me. In this ever-changing kind of disruptive church life, risk-taking is essential. And innovation is vital. True innovation only happens when you and I have the courage to take our churches with us, have the courage to take risks. I've learned over time that I get it wrong a lot, but I also get it right a lot. I'd encourage you, my philosophy in ministry is give it a go. What's the worst that's going to happen? The worst that's going to happen is something doesn't work and you go back to the thing that didn't work anyway in the first place. Fear of failure destroys creativity. And you need to be creative in ministry. You're going to need to take risks in order to be in a church, to serve a community of the 21st century. It takes courage to take those risks. Many risks that we take are measured, and that's good. That's why you need to be accountable to a team. You need to journey with others. It takes courage to give people permission to take those risks in church life. Now more than ever, it's innovate or die. And there can only be a limited amount of innovation if you are only working out of the established way of doing things. In every role I've had, I've always tried to be courageous and take risks and encourage others to do so as well. And the kind of final philosophy approach to ministry I have is a pragmatic enthusiasm for what God can do amongst his people. Even in the face of all the challenges, even with the less ideal outcomes, be optimistic. Believe that God wants the best for you, your community, and live out of that belief. You know, Jesus threw the best parties. So there is an element that this should be fun. There's a joy in the gospel. There's a joy in serving God. I know there are tough days. I know there are tough days. But believe that God can do all things in and through the community where he's put you. Often we can focus on the kind of little details as a way of masking any clear and coherent kind of vision and big picture. In ministry, it's really important that we have a positive vision, a big picture that we communicate about what God is doing. Simply put, when you're leading churches, most people aren't motivated or energized by pessimism. They're just not. But they are energized and motivated by someone who believes that God can do all things in and through that community. So, fostering risk-taking and creativity, building a culture of trust, fueling a deep and abiding curiosity in yourself and others, embracing change rather than living in denial of it, operating always with integrity and honesty, even if it means facing the most difficult things, holding closely to the pursuit of God, and seeking his kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. Having the ability to adapt and readapt and the courage to keep readapting. I guess those are the main abstractions of my philosophy and approach to ministry and mission. I hope there's something in there that sparks with you that you can reflect on. Also, this is essential to ministry: good coffee. Don't be attempting to do anything without good coffee. Thanks so much for watching. Please do feed in to the comments below. Connect with me on any of my social media handles. It'd be great to connect with you, to reflect on ministry and mission. Don't forget, if you like this video, to hit the big thumbs up, to hit the bell to get notifications of when a new video is posted, and also the subscribe button to never miss out on any of what's going on. In the next couple of weeks, the vlogs are going to focus on me saying goodbye to South Wales and hello to the Northern Baptist Association. I'm looking forward for you joining me on this journey.